Hello everyone. Today's lesson is going to be an introduction to cellular respiration. We'll be discussing the following topics. What is cellular respiration? The differences and similarities between photosynthesis and cellular respiration. The reactants and products in both systems. The first, second, and third stages in cellular respiration. The hydrogen ion pump. And finally, plants in cellular respiration. Let's get started. Firstly, in order for an organism to live and survive, they require an energy known as ATP. Well, what is ATP? ATP is short for adenosine triphosphate, the main energy carrier for a cell. Every cell in the body needs ATP to do work. Without it, work isn't possible. So, where do cells get ATP? Cells get ATP through a process called cellular respiration. When a cell needs energy, organic matter is used to produce ATP through cellular respiration. Well, what is that? What is cellular respiration? Cellular respiration is the breakdown of food molecules in the presence of oxygen in order to release chemical energy in the form of ATP. We'll discuss this further later on. Now, every second an organism is alive, it is constantly breaking down, producing, and recycling ATP molecules. The reason behind this? Well, it's because ATP cannot be stored in cells for a long period of time. In fact, your cells only hold about 30 seconds worth of ATP at a time. Let's compare the two systems, photosynthesis and cellular respiration. In many ways, photosynthesis and cellular respiration can be described as exact opposites of each other. Why is this, you ask? Well, let's take a look. Here are some common differences. Photosynthesis' main purpose is to produce glucose and oxygen using ATP, while cellular respiration produces ATP using glucose. Other differences include photosynthesis occurring in the chloroplasts, while cellular respiration occurs in the mitochondria. Photosynthesis stores energy, while cellular respiration releases energy. One more would be photosynthesis produces oxygen and releases it into the environment, while cellular respiration produces CO2, like when you breathe out. So, how do glucose bonds turn into molecules to build ATP, also known as energy? This is where the equation for cellular respiration comes in. This equation summarizes the chemical reactions in cellular respiration. Glucose molecules are broken down into CO2 and water is formed. However, oxygen is also needed in cellular respiration, meaning it is an aerobic process. What is an aerobic process? It is a process requiring the presence of oxygen. If you look closely, you'll notice this equation is the exact opposite of photosynthesis. The reaction and products are switched. The reactants for one are the products for the other. Let's start with the first step of cellular respiration, glycolysis, or rather the breaking down of glucose's molecules, also known as the sugar. Glycolysis is the breaking up of glucose's 6 carbon rings into 2 3-carbon molecules. For preference, if you want to make money, you gotta spend money. Glycolysis needs the investment of 2 ATPs in order to work, and in the end generates 4 ATPs, for a net profit of 2 ATPs. In addition, glycolysis also results in 2 pyruvates and 2 super energy-rich morsels called NADH, which is sort of like the child of a B vitamin called NAD+. Now, when paired with energized electrons and hydrogen, it creates a storehouse of energy that will later be tapped into making ATP.
The Krebs cycle. So while glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm, or the fluid medium within the cell that all the organelles hang out in, the Krebs cycle happens across the inner membrane of the mitochondria, which are generally considered the power centers of the cell. During glycolysis, fluid molecules are used to make energy-carrying molecules. These energy-carrying molecules transfer energy to the Krebs cycle, where more energy carriers are made, and to the electron transport chain, where excited electron power the making of ATP. Now, let's explore the place where the rest of the magic happens, the mitochondria. All mitochondria have a double membrane. The outer membrane covers a highly folded inner membrane. The area between the inner membrane of an outer membrane of a mitochondria is called the intermembrane space. The ribbon-like folds of the inner membrane are called cristae. What is inside the membrane? The material within the inner membrane of a mitochondria is called the mitochondrial matrix, or the gel-like material that contains enzymes and DNA found within the inner mitochondrial membrane. The Krebs cycle. What is the Krebs cycle? It is a series of chemical reactions used by all aerobic organisms to release stored energy through the oxidation of acetyl CoA, derived from carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. What does the Krebs cycle do? The Krebs cycle produces energy carriers, which are then used in the electron transport chain. The main function of the Krebs cycle is to produce energy carrying molecules. These energy carriers are used later in the electron transport chain to produce ATP. The Krebs cycle is at the center of the cellular metabolism, playing a starring role in both the process of energy production and biosynthesis. It finishes the sugar-breaking job starting in glycolysis and fuels the production of ATP in the process. The electron transport chain. What is the electron transport chain? The electron transport chain is a series of complexes that transfer electrons from electron donors to electron acceptors. For example, redox reactions. The final step in cellular respiration is the electron transport chain. The energy-carrying molecules produced in the Krebs cycle are used in the electron transport chain. Like the Krebs cycle, this step occurs in the powerhouse of the cell, the mighty mitochondria. Just like in the electron transport chain of photosynthesis, energy carriers in the electron transport chain of cellular respiration provide energy from pumping hydrogen ions. This process then powers a process that makes ATP. What is the hydrogen ion pump? The hydrogen ion pump consists of a membrane protein that helps build concentrations of protons between membranes. This is important in moving high concentrations of hydrogen ions to low concentrations. This energy can be used to take a molecule from inside the cell and move it out, or can help make ATP in a specialized enzyme.
Now going back to plants. Plants do not only perform photosynthesis. Animal cells take charge and perform cellular respiration to get their daily dose of energy. Plant cells can also perform cellular respiration alongside photosynthesis. These plant cells need their energy to do a number of things such as growing, building proteins, releasing waste, transporting glucose, and producing seeds. Whilst plant cells are using solar energy for making ATP in their green parts, when light is available, the roots and non-green parts of the plant use cellular respiration to make ATP when the sun is resting, and they also use it to make carbon dioxide. This is where our journey through the process of respiration ends. We hope you have learned as much as we have making this.